Okay, so solve 3x plus 6 equals negative 24. I'm going to come right over here and write them so that equals negative 24. Here's my variable term. Here's my constant term. I've got to zero out that constant term, so I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. 3x equals 30. Remember, don't rely on your mashed potato brains to do the integers for you. Make sure you are doing that in the calculator. Negative 30. Divide both sides by 3, and x equals a negative 10. If you put negative 24 minus 6 in the calculator, just like that, you're going to get a negative 30.
I didn't put the negative 24 to begin with. I put 24.
Okay?
Yep.
Negative 2 times 12 plus 18y. Those of you who weren't here yesterday, this is kind of a review of what we did yesterday. Equals a negative 132. We've got to distribute that 2 first. So 2 times 12, negative 2 times 12 is a negative 24. Negative 2 times 18 is going to be a minus 36y equals 132, negative 132. Questions right there. I know that there's 3 of you that weren't here yesterday, and y'all gonna have a video to watch where we're going over a good bit of this. So, Jacoby, can you see okay?
A blank.
Huh?
A blank card.
If you blank card. Okay. If you do, you don't need to come sit here? Okay. Here is my variable term right here. You got to make sure you pick up that sign with it. Here's my constant term. I am zeroing out this constant term first. So I'm adding 24 to both sides. Negative 136y equals what? What's negative 130?
Negative 108. Yeah, that would be negative 108.
Negative 108. That's a negative 36y. Divide both sides by negative 36. And y equals
Positive 3.
Positive 3. Emma Flynn, if you need to move your desk over either direction, if that'll help you. All right? Questions? I know you can't see. This was negative 24, and then we added 24 to both sides. That was our constant term. We added 24 to both sides right there. Okay? You ready? Okay. I was just making sure everybody had time to get that down. All right. Negative 5x plus a negative 3x plus 10 equals a negative 22. I don't have any distributive property, but I do have to combine some like terms. I've got to put that and that together. So that gives me a negative 8x plus 10 equals.
That's not a negative 5. That's just
Oh, y'all, my brain. Start. So 5x, let's try that again, plus a negative 3x. Where I saw a negative, I don't know. I still have to combine those, which is going to make that 2x plus 10 equals a negative 22. Everything, what we're doing, we've got to get it to a two-step equation. We got to get to a two-step equation. Here's my variable term, here's my constant term. Subtract 10 from both sides. 2x equals a negative 32. Divide both sides by 2. and x equals a negative 16. Questions? If you're making mistakes, are you seeing where you're making your mistakes? And you don't have any questions about where you're going, where your errors are? 1.5 plus 1.8y equals 7.8. This one is just a two-step equation. We're going to subtract 1.5 from both sides. So we've got 1.8y equals 6.3. Divide both sides by 1.8. And y equals what?
3.5.
Every bit of that you do on the calculator. You do all of the computation on the calculator. You just have to show all the steps on your paper. Okay? Questions? All right. Very good. Let's move on to, we're going to look at the last few. We left off right here yesterday. We left off right here. I've got those of you that weren't here yesterday. I've got your stuff. You can just kind of pick up where we are, and then I'll have your video uploaded for you in a few minutes. Okay? I had to let it process, and I hadn't gotten it. This is the stapled packet, the one that's stapled. This will be the last part of that. Okay? This is the one that's stapled, the last part of that. So right here, we've got to distribute that 0.75. We got to distribute that 0.75. So, 0.75 times 6 is 4.5. I'm multiplying 0.75 times 6, and I get 4.5. And I multiply 0.75 times D, and I get 0.75D equals 12. Now I have my two-step equation. So now here's my constant term, here's my variable term. I'm going to subtract 4.5 from both sides. So 12 minus 4.5 is 7.5. So I have 0.75D equals 7.5. Now I want to divide both sides by 0.75. That gives me my 1D. That gives me that variable with a coefficient of a positive 1. And I've got 7.5 divided by 0.75, and I get 10. Questions? Okay. Right here we are distributing 0.2. So 0.2C and minus 0.2 times 3 is 0.6 equals negative 10. Here's my variable term. Here's my constant term. So I have to add 0.6 to both sides. Now, I don't have my decimals lined up right there because I'm putting this in the calculator. If you were doing it on paper, but it's a negative 10.6. So 0.2C equals a negative 10.6. Divide both sides by 0.2. 2/10. And I get a negative 53. Huh?
I got 4. After you did the negative 10 plus 0.6, I got negative 9.4.
I did too.
Negative. Did I subtract them? Negative 10 plus 0.6 should be 9.4. You're right. I subtracted them. I thought that didn't look right. That should be 9.4. So 0.2C equals 9.4. Now we're going to divide both sides by 0.2. And we get negative 40. That should be a negative 9.4. Negative 9.4 divided by 0.2 is negative 47. I'm just trying to hurry so I can make sure we get to what we need to today. Okay? Thanks for keeping me straight. I don't mind y'all catching my errors as long as you are respectful in making. All right. Always more than one way. Which steps can be used to solve for the value of y? So, divide both sides by 3, then subtract 5 from both sides. Subtract 5 from both sides and divide.
They're all wrong, but
No, they're not actually.
I'm confused.
Is it C?
I thought it was like I
It's
put
C.
C because like you're
Because
supposed
you
to
multiply both sides by
by
3.
3, but it should be then subtract 15 from both sides.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's do it the way we know how to do it first. This is how you should have worked this. So we've got 3y plus 15 equals 45, right? We're going to subtract 15 from both sides, and we get 3y equals 30. Divide both sides by 3, and y equals 10, okay?
So C.
Now hang on, let's see. So if we divide both sides by 3, so let's do that one first. 3 times y plus 5 equals 45. If we divide both sides by 3, this leaves us y plus 5 right here, and this gives us 15, right? Subtract 5 from both sides, and y equals . Why does that work?
What did you even just do there?
I just did A.
I say it was there.
I understand why it works because when you divide 3 by you automatically hold up. When you divide 3 first, because you're going to end up dividing 45 by 3 to begin with, you're going to end up with y plus 5, and then you're supposed to subtract 5 from 15, and then you'll get 10 because of that.
Why? All right, over here, we distributed the 3, and then what did we end up doing in the end?
Dividing by 3.
Divided by 3. What are you doing? What is the operation between 3 and this y plus 5? What operation's happening right there? Now, what are you doing? 3 is being what to y plus 5? Multiplied. What's the inverse of multiplication? Division. So I could divide right there and make my 1. Right? So what I've got right here is 1 y plus 5, which is what I want. Right? So there's always more than one way. But you're doing the same thing.
So it's A.
It is A. You can divide both sides by 3, then subtract 5 from both sides, and you're going to get the same answer. What you're actually doing is this step right here first. You divided both sides by 3, didn't you? All right. Which steps can be used to solve for the value of y?
Yeah, we'll do the
Same thing. same. You can divide both sides by 2/3 and then subtract 57 from both sides, and you're going to get the same answer. But I would not get too
Doing it the division way seems faster.
it is faster.
And why don't we learn that way?
Well, because you have to know how to distribute too. You got to understand that distributive piece. Because what if you were distributing, what if there was a variable sitting out there to be distributed? Then it gets a little wonky. You got to understand how to distribute, okay? But I don't care which method you use.
Are there more ways than just those two for these kind of problems?
That I'm going to show you right now. Okay? Be careful when you're looking at that, because if I ask you if I were to say what is an equivalent equation for this, you would have to know how to do the distributive property to write that equivalent equation. Does that make sense? You got to know how to distribute to create those equivalent equations, but you may not. But like it said, there's always, there are multiple ways to get there. Some I will put out there for you. Some I will not, because it muddies the water too much. Y'all, think about your integer rules. You can't keep straight when you have like signs, add and keep the sign, different signs, you subtract and take the sign of the larger number. Or the Dorito man. One's with addition, subtraction, one is with multiplication, division. Y'all struggle, we struggle keeping that straight in our brain, but you want 10 different ways to solve that equation. Okay? I will tell you, there are no shortcuts. Okay? Don't expect a lot of shortcuts. All right, so here's what you're doing. I don't think we got anybody out today, have we? Okay. I'm going to pause that for a minute. I may not.